My name is Verene Shepherd, Professor Emerita of Social History at the University of the West Indies. And I just wanted to remind everyone that the months of May and June hold significance, special significance, for Indians and people of Indian descent in the Caribbean. These are the months in which several countries mark Indian Arrival Day. May 1 in Grenada, May 5 in Guyana, May 6 in St. Lucia, May 10 in Jamaica, May 30th in Trinidad and Tobago, June 1 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and June 5 in Suriname. The importation of Indians to be located mainly on sugar plantations to supplement the African labor force after the abolition of chattel enslavement, when many Africans refused to continue as plantation workers for several reasons, including the search for true liberation, economic independence, and better wages and working conditions on plantations, started first in Guyana in 1838 under the Gladstone experiment. In fact, the majority of Indians were imported by planters in Guyana, followed by Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, Guadeloupe, Jamaica, and Martinique. St. Lucia, what is called French Guyana, Grenada, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, St. Kitts Nevis, imported much smaller numbers. While some Indians returned to India post-contract, the majority settled in the region. Indian Arrival Day represents a moment for Indo-Caribbeans, and in fact, the people of the Caribbean as a whole, to reflect on the past, especially on the exploitative aspects of indentureship and the tensions in post-indentureship societies, but also on the triumphs and contributions of Indians to the development of Caribbean societies. My book, Maharani's Misery, Narratives of a Passage from India to the Caribbean, published by the press UWI, is essential reading for all those who wish to have a deeper understanding of the history of the Caribbean and the experiences of a large segment of our population and the colonialist actions that influence their lives and our lives. I became interested in this area of research after visiting Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana in the 1970s and seeing the large populations of Indians in those countries. Jamaica, by contrast, had a really small Indian population. So the topic became the subject of my master's thesis in those years when I was doing my master's at the UWI Mona campus. And ultimately, the thesis resulted in a book called Transients to Settlers, The Experience of Indians in Jamaica, 1845 to 1945, and subsequent articles, and then Maharani's Misery. Maharani's Misery is the outcome of correspondence stored in the British National Archives about the journey of the ship Allanshaw with indentured Indians bound for Guyana, the death of one Indian woman, Maharani, and the various investigations into the tragic incident provide about the journey of indentured workers to Jamaica and women's experiences has generated wide interest in it, not just in the Caribbean, not only at the UWI, but wherever there is interest in this topic. The book even became the subject of a play by Brian Heap. Some of you remember him on the Mona campus. One aspect of the book that readers like, students in particular, is that all the testimonies in the trial are included as an appendix. So students of history can debate the guilt or innocence of the accused man fingered in the cause of Maharani's tragic death and the verdict given. You may agree, you may not agree. Anyway, Indian Arrival Day is a good opportunity to refresh our memories about this important aspect of our history, and Maharani's Misery is a great place to start.